Today on Rappler, Senate President Enrile offers to quit, but 11 senators vote to keep him in power. A Tubbataha Park official says the U.S. Navy ship stuck in the Reef ignored warnings to avoid the area. And 6 Filipinos are confirmed dead in the Algeria gas field hostage crisis. Welcome to Rappler, your social news network. Senate President Juan Ponce Enrile offers to quit his post, but he retains Senate leadership after 11 senators reject the motion. In a privileged speech, Enrile slams his 4 critics for what he calls, quote, a disinformation campaign that successfully poisoned the minds of the public. He's referring to the controversy over his decision to exclude Senators Miriam Santiago, Pia Cayetano, Alan Peter Cayetano, and Antonio Trillanes from receiving additional funds last December. The controversy fueled talks of a plot to unseat Enrile. Hours before Enrile's speech, Trillanes tells reporters he only needed 4 more senators to complete the 13 votes needed to oust the Senate president. Enrile says he offered to quit because the Senate is being dragged into the issue.
Of threats and cruel rumors, we have had enough. I'm way too old to be threatened by anyone, least of all by cowards and hypocrites. And so therefore, Mr. President, I move that the position of Senate President be declared vacant.
Of the 16 senators present, 11 voted to reject Enrile's proposal to quit, including Enrile's key allies, Tito Sotto and Panfilo Lacson. Only Enrile, Trillanes, and Coco Pimentel vote in favor of the move to declare the position vacant. But Trillanes says of Enrile's offer to quit, he knew most of the senators were absent. Senators Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and Joker Arroyo abstain. Enrile says he will repeat his motion when all senators are present. In his speech, Enrile had harsh words for Santiago, calling her, quote, his most cantankerous critic and questioning her reactions to criticism from Lacson.
When it was her turn to be challenged regarding her own integrity and to be called, quote, crusading crook, unquote, and quote, a hypocrite par excellence, unquote. It seems that alone was enough to pose a danger to her own health and whatever remains of her equanimity and sanity. The very thought that this position is for sale repulses me truly. But apparently, Senator Santiago thinks everything and everyone in this Senate has a price tag.
Resigned Senator Juan Miguel Zubiri and the United Nationalist Alliance, UNA, defended their early start in campaign ads and sorties, saying publicity is key to winning elections.
If you ask us, does publicity work? Yes, it does. Unfortunately, unless we change our system, it's a popularity contest.
The opposition coalition says it supports stricter COMELEC rules for the campaign period, but says raising awareness before the start of the campaign period is necessary. UNA Secretary General and Navotas Representative Toby Chanco reiterates the Supreme Court already ruled there is no prohibition on premature campaigning.
We cannot match the government machinery, we cannot match the government resources. So, anong gagawin namin? So, we start early, diba?
And our social media post of the day is about this story. Edgardo B. Casas, using his Facebook account, posts on Rappler.com. And who would change the system? If anybody has ever tried it, it should have changed long ago. Nobody has rocked the boat so far because they're too comfy with the influence and largesse of the system. They're called the Fringe Candidates, the candidates with no name recall and little media exposure. But Natasha Gutierrez reports that didn't matter to UP students who were eager to know their candidates.
Ipaglalaban na makakamit ang karapatan ng bawat mamamayan.
Candidates who participated in #Ang Pagsusuri, a senatorial debate at the University of the Philippines, are unanimous. They want to abolish pork barrel, officially known as the Priority Development Assistance Fund. Baldomero Falcone of the Democratic Party of the Philippines feels strongly about getting rid of cash given to congressmen from government funds to finance local projects.
Eliminate the pork barrel. No congressman should be having his pork barrel. No senator. Use the pork barrel to solve the homelessness of so many families who have no homes.
Most of the candidates who attend #Ang Pagsusuri are not affiliated with a major political party. They are the so-called alternatives to better entrenched politicians or to cynics' fringe candidates. They are grilled on issues about electoral reform, foreign affairs, and the economy. But for the candidates, none of whom are re-electionists, funds or gifts given to lawmakers is the hottest topic. They are also against cash gifts, like the 1.6 million pesos the Senate President gave senators over the holidays. The candidates say the function of a senator is clear, and it does not require discretionary funds.
Hindi po ako after sa pork barrel. Kahit hindi po ako kongresista, hindi po ako senador, alam ko po ang trabaho ng isang senador. Hindi po yan bilang isang kontratista.
Unafraid, candidates voice their opinions. The students appreciate the effort, expressing disappointment with more popular senators who snubbed their forum.
Ayun, sayang yung opportunity kasi maraming iska pati iska na pumunta dito para malaman yung plans nila. So yun, sayang lang yung opportunity.
The candidates are unpopular bets, ready to make unpopular choices. They may not win, but with little political experience and no alliances to alienate, they offer refreshing ideas that may well expand the minds of young voters. Natasha Gutierrez, Rappler, Manila.
A Tubbataha park official says the U.S. Navy minesweeper stuck inside the reef since last week ignored warnings to avoid the area. Marine Park Chief Angelique Sonko says rangers radioed the USS Guardian to warn it was nearing the reef Thursday, but the ship captain insisted they raise their complaint with the U.S. Embassy. Sonko says shortly after the warning, the 68-meter ship got stuck on part of the reef, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. On Sunday, the Philippine military says the ship damages more coral after strong wind and current turned the ship around. Around 17 meters of the U.S. Navy minesweeper's hull are now aground, 7 meters more than before. Transportation Secretary June Abaya says the government will conduct its own probe and damage assessment. He says that it will verify the U.S. Pacific Fleet's claim that faulty navigational charts caused the ship to steer off course. The U.S. Navy apologizes Sunday for the incident. Foreign Affairs spokesman Raul Hernandez says 6 Filipinos are confirmed dead in the Algeria gas field hostage crisis. Hernandez says the Filipinos' deaths were, quote, a direct result of the hostage-taking incident in the area and mostly by gunshot wounds and the effects of the explosions. The identities of the Filipino fatalities have not yet been released to the public. Hernandez adds 4 other Filipinos held hostage remain missing. Some foreign governments criticize Algeria for their initial raid on the facility, saying the move was too hasty. Hernandez says the Philippines did not condemn Algeria's actions, but stresses the Algerian government informed Philippine authorities the military action was taken to prevent further loss of lives after the militants started executing hostages. U.S. President Barack Obama takes the oath of office to begin his second term at a simple ceremony Sunday. The U.S. Constitution dictates his first term ends at noon on January 20th. Obama takes the oath with his right hand raised and his left on a family Bible held by his wife, Michelle. In a tweet, Michelle Obama says, Barack just took the official oath at the White House and used my grandma's Bible for the ceremony. I'm so proud of him. Vice President Joe Biden is also sworn into his second term by Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor. Obama will repeat the oath in a public ceremony Monday. His senior aide says the president will deliver a, quote, hopeful inaugural address to a crowd of 500,000, much smaller than in his first address in 2009. Well, let's now look at Rappler's Wrap for today, a list of the 10 most important events around the world you shouldn't miss. At number 5, more than the double helix in the molecule of life, scientists have seen for the first time a quadruple-stranded DNA at work in human cells. The finding is significant because it could suggest novel ways to fight cancer. A Cambridge University professor tells BBC News targeting cells in a dysfunctional state with, quote, synthetic molecules could be an interesting way of selectively targeting those cells that have this dysfunction. The professor adds pharmaceutical companies can study this and determine whether quadruplexes are, quote, therapeutically viable targets. At number 6, the Swiss Foreign Ministry says 140 countries agreed to adopt a treaty limiting the production and use of the health hazardous mercury. These countries will be asked to sign the treaty next October in Minamata, Japan, in honor of its residents who've suffered the consequences of mercury contamination. Poisoning from mercury affects the body's immune system and can lead to psychological disorders, loss of teeth, and problems with the digestive, cardiovascular, and respiratory tracts. It likewise affects development of the brain and nervous system. At number 7, Kim.com, the indicted Mega Upload founder, launches a new file-sharing website in defiance of U.S. prosecutors who accuse him of facilitating massive online piracy. On Sunday night at his New Zealand mansion, the German-born .com unveils the Mega site, which he describes as unstoppable and huge. He says 500,000 users registered for Mega in its first 14 hours, suggesting it could be the fastest-growing startup in history. Prosecutors say .com made tens of millions of dollars compared to the $500 million in copyright revenue that filmmakers and songwriters lost. And at number 10, the Batmobile, used by Adam West in the original TV series of Batman, was sold for $4.2 million to a logistics company owner from Phoenix, Arizona, Rick Champagne. He says, quote, it's a dream come true. He was only 10 years old when the TV series began in 1966. The car's design is based on a 1955 Lincoln Futura built in Italy by Ford Motor Company. It is the first time the Batmobile was auctioned since it was first purchased in 1965 by car customizer George Barris. For the full top 10, visit Rappler.com's The Wrap.